A safe seat is a seat which is regarded as fully secured, either by a certain political party, the incumbent representative personally, or combination of the two. In such seats, there is very little chance of the seat changing hands because of the political leaning of the electorate. The fact is, voters in safe seats usually have little chance to affect election outcomes. Those voters' concerns can theoretically be ignored by political parties, with no effect on election outcome. Opposing candidates also argue that safe seats receive far less political funding than marginal seats. Labrie, Beaufort North, Micoud South, and Castries South are few of such safe seats. Castries South is one of the most interesting constituencies in St. Lucia. Until 1969, it used to incorporate the present Castries South East and had forever been a stronghold of the St. Lucia Labour Party. It was first represented by George F.L. Charles, the island's first chief minister and former leader of the SLP. When the present Castries South was created in 1974, George Charles passed the baton and it remained SLP with John Odlum, winning the seat until 1982, when he helped form the breakaway PLP and retained the seat for that party. To Odlum's credit, it was the only seat held by the PLP in the 1982 Parliament. Every time the bell was rang in 1987, 1992 and 1997, it had been a three-cornered fight in Castries South among the UWP, SLP and Odlum's Progressive Labour Party. Desmond Bradford, however, emerged victorious in 1987 and 1992, a UWP first in 18 years. After 18 years, the tables had turned and Bradford would face off against John Odlum again, this time wearing a conspicuous red shirt instead of his famous regalia. Lawson Cauldron and Bain Nathaniel, however, would be left in the political wilderness to fend as independents. When the votes were counted this time, it would be John Odlum standing hammer and nails in hand, ready to seal the political coffin of the flamboyant Desmond Bradford. That baton was used to whip the UWP's Zephyrin Francis on December 3, 2001. While his political career winded down, John and the St. Lucia Labour Party would find solace, strength and youth in Dr. Robert Lewis, and in 2006 he was able to use the famous Castries South baton on the UWP's Tessa Mangal. In the upcoming election, will history be repeated and the safe seat remain safe, or will Lorenzo Dolly Francis write a new chapter in Castries South's political biography? Originally from Lower Mon Road, Dolly is a past student of the Methodist Primary School and a proud Sumerian. By 1986, Lorenzo had graduated from the University of the West Indies and attained a bachelor's degree in economics, management and accounting. Completing a first degree and master's in management would be suffice for most academics, but not Dolly. Always one on a quest for self-development, in 1996 he decided to pursue further studies, attaining a master's in tax and corporate law. He was called to the St. Lucia Bar on December 1999. He replaced Senator and Attorney General Dr. Nicholas Frederick, who was unceremoniously relieved of his portfolio. On the 6th of February 2011, he was officially launched as the UWP's candidate to contest the Castries South seat.
At the constituency level, Dr. Robert Lewis has not delivered, and that is why we are here tonight in our numbers, to ensure that we replace Dr. Robert Lewis with someone who will get the job done, and that someone is none other than the United Workers' Party candidate, Dolly Francis.
But the question is, why Castries South?
I grew up in Castries South, and I've lived in Castries South for 90% of my life. Even after I got married in 1993, I resided on the Mon for a number of years before proceeding to London to pursue further studies. So my entire life, is about 90% of my life, I spent in Castries South.
Very early into the campaign for this upcoming general election, Dolly unveiled the thrust and tag for his campaign. I probed him to understand the rationale behind it.
This is just really epitomizes my character. I am not one to talk about things or to hope about things. If something needs to be done, I just find a way to get this thing done. One of the downfalls of my competitor is that there's very little which can be attributed to him in his constituency. You know, and I always tell many individuals, you see, when one goes into politics or you go up as a representative, what should be your goal is everyone should seek to leave a legacy. And if you look at John Compton, one can talk of John Compton's legacy. Even Richard Frederick. When you look at Castries Central, you can talk of Richard's legacy. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about my competitor.
He lambasted the current MP and explained how, with the help of corporate sponsors, he was able to bring some sort of relief to the residents of Fuasho.
Project number 1, get these drains completed. So I constructed and resurfaced both of these drains, okay, at the cost of about $47,000. And this was done with the help of some business people in St. Lucia. As a number of persons have recognized or followed my development over the years, and they have great confidence in my abilities and the great confidence in my success as a candidate. And seen as one of those persons who could really make a difference on the political scene in St. Lucia. So those persons have basically supported me. And when it came down to getting these materials, I mean, the labor we paid for with the assistance of a number of agencies, some government, some non-governmental, but the materials came from private individuals out there.
An intense cleanup campaign followed, coupled with much footpath construction and major drain upgrades.
I'm now walking on a newly constructed footpath in the area. This footpath was financed by the Taiwanese funds and today has alleviated the plight of many persons who live in this area. Before this footpath was constructed, this area comprised primarily of mud, rock, stones and debris, which today is non-existent. Persons can now enter their homes on concrete and don't have to use 2 or 3 pairs of shoes to get to their homes anymore. For this, I'm grateful for the support of the Taiwanese and to the persons of this community who assisted in the construction of this walkway.
The Cicero Multipurpose Court would also benefit from Doddie's networking and lobbying skills. According to the candidate, the delivery of this recreational area was paramount to him.
I give credit where credit is due. And the incumbent had made a number of requests for the redevelopment of the refurbishment of the court. But writing letters don't take you anywhere in St. Lucia. You have to actually go after these projects. And when I came in, I realized this is an urgent project. I consulted the funding agencies. I let them know how urgent the project is, and I stayed on their back. And within a couple of weeks, this project was started and completed. When I realized that the agency could not complete the project, I put in the additional funding to make sure the project is completed to the level I wanted it at. When I recognized that the lights were not ready, so I also got lights onto this court and paid for it myself. So the multipurpose court, though many persons won't take credit for it, really and truly is as a result of my efforts and my contribution. This court today is functional.
Doddie assures residents of the Banans Bay area that Cicero alone will not be the benefactor of sporting projects.
We are now in the Banan area. This is the proposed site for the new Banan ultra-modern sporting facility, complete with drainage and new and modern lights. There is also going to be the construction of a new toilet and changing room facility, and the upstairs would comprise of a hall that will be utilized for a clubhouse and also for activities within the constituency.
Doddie accepts the credit for road rehabilitation work done in Goodlands West, a community he says has been neglected for umpteen years under Labour.
They've never seen a rep down in that area. They've never seen a government minister in that area. So I went in this area, met all the residents, and the major plight was the road. And I must confess now that we've done all the preliminary works, put in all the drainage work that was done by the boys in the area themselves, and the work has commenced on all the retaining walls. And the minister have assured me that come the next quarter, come October quarter, we will be resurfacing this road right down to the bottom. So that will alleviate the plight of those residents down there.
But it's not only T-Canal and footpaths that captured his attention. He admits that the greatest asset of his constituency is the youth. And although there are going to be countless mortar and brick projects, nothing brings him greater satisfaction than youth development.
When I went down to that area and met the rastas and the young men down in these areas, and these guys said to me they'd never ever met a rep in Castries South for their entire life. 90% of them they don't have ID cards and had never voted. And you're talking about over 50, 60 young people. And what these young people had that is admirable was they had an organized group, what they called the club. But the club had 77 cents when I met them. But they had that drive and that passion and the level of organization and structure within a club, if nothing, was amazing. And I just jumped in with them and taught them how to raise funds, taught them how to structure the club. And right now, these guys are functioning. They have their uniforms, fully functional. The club funds must be in the thousands of dollars now because they've held a number of fundraising activities. And we just got the okay for us to clear off an area at the bottom, the cul-de-sac area. It's private lands, but the owner has given them permission for us to go in and level there off so they can get a new playing surface so they can practice their football.
Lindell Allen's index finger has never been stained. However, he seems drawn to the light of the torch and confesses that Dody's slogan epitomizes his work in Castries South.
I haven't voted, and I never really had interest in voting. But for the past months, from last year until now, based on the way Mr. Francis came to us, actually came to me, I feel, well, that's a different man. That's a different man into the politics right now than any other that have been there. Reason for saying that, he's a man, I would say he hears the cries of the people. He takes time to understand, and he comes to you in a manner of not just kind of what is it, what you want. He feels you, he understands you, and actually he understands me. And any other person you would ask that question, which is not biased, will tell you the same thing.
Any party that comes in the next government, the first priority has to be jobs, jobs, and jobs.